In the mighty name of God, who calls the unseen into purpose and awakens the sleeping spirit, I speak to you now, chosen ones. This is not an ordinary moment. This is not a casual message drifting through your ears. This is a divine interruption. Heaven has pressed pause on the noise of your life because a 3-day window has been opened over your destiny, and what you do in these days will decide what follows you for years. Something ancient and holy is moving in the invisible realm, and it is calling your name with urgency. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. There are moments when God whispers, and there are moments when God shouts. This is not a whisper, this is a trumpet. When God gives a deadline, it is never to pressure you, it is to protect what He has prepared. Delay is the enemy's favorite weapon, because he knows that what you postpone today, you may lose forever. Chosen ones, many have missed their miracles, not because they were unworthy, but because they were distracted. Heaven does not operate on your comfort, it operates on divine timing. When the door is open, you walk. When the fire is lit, you step in. When the cloud moves, you follow. And right now, the cloud is moving fast. 3 days is not just a number, it is a pattern written across sacred history. 3 days in the tomb before resurrection power was released. 3 days for the prophet to wait before the rain returned. 3 days before divine reversal. Every time God sets 3 days, He is preparing a shift that will shock the natural world. What you are being given is not time, it is mercy. Mercy to align, mercy to obey, mercy to let go of what is blocking what is coming. Heaven is not asking you to be perfect in these 3 days, it is asking you to be available. Something has been trying to keep you tired, confused, and emotionally numb, because the enemy understands that a sleepy chosen one is a harmless chosen one. That is why your mind has been under attack. Your focus has been scattered and your motivation has been tested, but now God is pulling you out of that fog. This deadline is a divine wake-up call. If you ignore it, it is not that God takes your future, it is that you step out of alignment with it. The blessing does not disappear, you simply move away from the place where it is flowing. These 3 days are not about doing more, they are about surrendering more. God is not looking for your effort, He is looking for your heart. There are habits He wants you to drop, voices He wants you to stop listening to, environments He wants you to step away from. Every wrong attachment delays the right breakthrough. Every distraction drains your spiritual sensitivity. Heaven is trying to fine-tune you, to remove the static, so you can hear the next instruction clearly. The next instruction will not be loud, but it will be precise, and it will only come to those who are listening. Chosen ones, what is coming is bigger than what you have lost. But if you keep holding on to what hurt you, you will have no hands left to receive what is being handed to you. These 3 days are a crossing. You are moving from survival to assignment, from confusion to clarity, from delay to acceleration. But crossing requires courage. You cannot bring your old fears into a new season. You cannot bring yesterday's wounds into tomorrow's calling. Something must be released so something greater can be received. Right now, the spiritual atmosphere around you is thick with possibility. Angels are not waiting for next week, they are waiting for your decision. Will you obey even when it feels uncomfortable? Will you trust even when you do not see the full picture? Will you step away from what is familiar to step into what is destined? Heaven has already moved. The question is not what God will do. The question is what you will do within these 3 days. The reason this feels urgent is because it is. Destiny does not knock forever. Opportunity does not beg. Divine timing is a sacred window that opens and closes based on alignment. You are not being threatened, you are being invited. Invited to step into a version of your life that you have only seen in glimpses. A future where your gifts finally make sense, where your pain turns into purpose, where your waiting turns into reward. But that future is tied to obedience now. Heaven has set a 3-day deadline over your destiny, and your response will determine your future. This is not an ordinary statement or a casual warning. It is a divine interruption into the rhythm of your life. God moves in moments, not in months. And when He sets a timeline, it is always strategic, precise, and purposeful. The 3 days mentioned here are not just numbers, they are a spiritual measure. a window of opportunity designed specifically for you. Within this limited period, heaven is waiting for a response, a decision, an alignment that will determine the trajectory of your life for seasons to come. Many do not understand the power of timing in the spiritual realm. Divine deadlines are rarely negotiable, and they often pass unnoticed by those who are too comfortable in their routines or too distracted by their daily struggles. These 3 days are not an arbitrary limit. They are a signal, a sacred boundary, a pause that demands awareness. When God sets a timeline, He is signaling that the next step in your journey requires immediate attention. The period is brief because the shift is massive, and the longer it is delayed, the greater the risk of losing the momentum prepared for your life. It is not merely a matter of opportunity, but of alignment. Your future is not left to chance, it is intricately connected to your ability to recognize and respond to the timing God establishes. Your response within these 3 days will determine your future, because spiritual favor and temporal opportunities often intersect in moments of obedience. Heaven moves in precise patterns, and when a window opens, it is not random. It is orchestrated to release blessings, acceleration, and transformation. But these gifts are contingent on your readiness to step into them. Ignoring the call, even for a seemingly small reason, can cause that window to close before you even realize it was open. The enemy is well aware of these sacred moments and will often seek to distract, delay, or deceive you to miss them. Every second counts within this divine timing, and hesitation can cost far more than it seems. The 3-day period is a test of spiritual alertness, of discernment, and of willingness to prioritize the divine over the mundane. The moment is urgent, not to create fear, but to awaken the sleeping awareness inside you that destiny waits for no one, and that what is prepared cannot linger indefinitely. Within these 3 days, you are being positioned for something beyond your current understanding. The principle at work is that God never gives a breakthrough without a moment that requires your immediate attention. You are not being rushed to stress you, but to move you. Your destiny, your assignment, your purpose, and even your miracles are often bound by responsiveness. God does not just want your effort, He wants your alignment. When heaven gives a timeline, it is a sacred invitation to step into a spiritual rhythm that has been prepared for you. Missing it does not mean failure in God's eyes, but it does mean stepping out of synchronization with the divine flow that would have released favor, guidance, and acceleration into your life. Many are waiting for doors to open, blessings to flow, and instructions to arrive, not realizing that the moment to move has already been set, and that it is the act of obedience within the timeline that triggers the manifestation of all things promised. The 3 days also carry a sense of testing and refining. Within this window, every distraction, delay, or hesitation becomes a measure of your spiritual readiness. The heart is tested, the mind is sharpened, and the spirit is stirred to recognize what is truly essential. Heaven is calling for immediate alignment, and your response is a reflection of your trust, your faith, and your understanding of God's ways. The divine rhythm of these 3 days is not about perfection, but about sensitivity. The 3-day timeline serves as a spiritual checkpoint, a moment where clarity and revelation converge, and where decisions must be made without procrastination. Ignoring this window does not just postpone blessings, it opens the door for confusion, delay, and spiritual compromise. The future that is contingent upon your response is not abstract or distant. It is practical, tangible, and life-altering. It may affect your career, relationships, finances, health, or spiritual calling. The 3-day period is like a spiritual hinge. The movement you make now will swing the door toward acceleration or stagnation. Your response is a declaration of where your priorities lie, of whether you value divine instructions over earthly convenience, and of whether you are ready to honor the sacred timing set by God. Many wait for months for opportunities that have already been prepared, not realizing that the alignment they needed was only possible through obedience in the moment. The window of 3 days is a compressed period precisely because the breakthrough that awaits is compressed in impact. It is sudden, decisive, and transformative. To embrace this timeline is to embrace faith in action. It requires stepping away from distractions, shedding hesitation, and moving toward what is unfamiliar but divinely appointed. It demands that you pay attention to signs, instructions, and nudges that may have seemed minor before. Your response is a spiritual lever that lifts favor, guidance, and provision into your circumstances. This is the moment when heaven and earth intersect in your life, and the 3-day deadline is the catalyst that can turn preparation into manifestation, prayer into action, and potential into reality. Those who recognize this and respond faithfully will see a shift, a breakthrough, and a momentum that will continue beyond these 3 days, while those who delay risk allowing the window to close and the moment to pass unnoticed. The clarity of the 3-day deadline also brings with it accountability. You cannot ignore this call without consequence. Destiny waits for alignment, and the divine calendar is precise. Every second is measured, every choice is counted, and the spiritual ramifications of inaction extend beyond what is visible. God has set a sacred limit not to intimidate, but to clarify the importance of readiness, alertness, and obedience. Within these 3 days, every decision matters because the timing is directly connected to the release of divine favor, breakthrough, and destiny. This is not just a test of patience, it is a call to immediate action, and the consequences of ignoring it will shape your future in ways that may not be reversible without another window of opportunity. Delay and distraction are the enemy's tools to make you miss your divine assignment. The enemy knows that timing is everything in the spiritual realm, and he works tirelessly to slow you down, to cloud your vision, and to keep you preoccupied with matters that have no eternal value. Every moment that you waste in indecision or aimless activity is a moment that could have been used to step into what God has prepared for you. The enemy understands that your assignment is not just a task, but a destiny, a divine purpose carefully crafted, and he will use anything, fear, confusion, doubt, procrastination, or even seemingly innocent distractions to prevent you from moving when heaven is ready to move. When God sets a timeline or gives a signal, delay is the primary weapon of the adversary because it keeps you out of alignment with the flow of blessing, revelation, and acceleration that is already prepared. Distraction is subtle. It comes in the form of noise, entertainment, relationships, and obligations that feel urgent but are not, and it quietly erodes your focus and your sensitivity to spiritual direction. Many chosen ones have had doors open, miracles prepared, and instructions waiting, only to miss them because they allowed the enemy to occupy their attention with what was secondary instead of what was essential. The danger of delay is that it convinces you that there is more time than there actually is. The mind is easily lulled into the lie that later is as good as now. But heaven does not operate on human timelines. Divine windows open briefly and close quickly, and what could have been captured with immediate obedience is often lost to hesitation. Delay breeds regret because it distances you from the readiness required to receive what is coming. When God calls, the call is urgent, precise, and deliberate, and ignoring it opens the door for the enemy to interject confusion and false paths. Distraction, on the other hand, robs you of spiritual clarity. The enemy introduces thoughts, images, and activities that feel harmless or even necessary, but they are designed to scatter your focus and make the divine signal harder to recognize. In the 3-day window of opportunity, the subtle influence of delay and distraction can determine whether you step into your assignment fully or remain on the edge, watching others move while you remain stationary. The enemy often attacks in ways that feel comfortable or natural. He knows that direct confrontation will rarely work on those who are spiritually aware, so he uses delay and distraction as camouflage. He tempts you to wait for the perfect moment, to reconsider your choices, to overthink the instructions, or to prioritize convenience over destiny. Every hesitation gives him control over your timeline and allows him to dilute the power of your obedience. Delay can take many forms: waiting for circumstances to improve, seeking more confirmation than necessary, doubting the clarity of the message, or even postponing action because of fear. Distraction can appear as constant busyness, unproductive habits, or being overly consumed with the opinions of others. Both work together to create a spiritual fog that makes you less responsive to God's calling. To overcome these tools, you must cultivate discernment and urgency. Recognize that every moment of hesitation is an opportunity for the enemy to advance his agenda. You must prioritize alignment with God's instructions above comfort, routine, and the noise of the world. Spiritual clarity comes when you intentionally focus on the call. Act on revelation immediately and refuse to allow the enemy to hijack your attention. Delay and distraction are not coincidences, they are strategic attacks, and only those who remain vigilant, disciplined, and sensitive to the Spirit can resist them. Obedience, speed, and unwavering focus in the face of these challenges determine whether the 3-day window will bring breakthrough or be wasted. Every divine assignment requires timing and attention, and the enemy will do everything in his power to steal both. Delay and distraction are not random, they are targeted, calculated, and persistent. Recognizing them is the first step to overcoming them, and responding with immediate alignment ensures that your destiny is not compromised by the tactics of the adversary. The key is to see through the lies of delay, to silence the noise of distraction, and to move decisively into the divine plan, because use only those who act with focus and urgency will capture the fullness of what has been prepared within the sacred 3-day window. These 3 days are about surrendering, aligning your heart, and letting go of what blocks your breakthrough. This is a season designed to test your spiritual sensitivity and awaken a level of obedience that transcends convenience, comfort, and human reasoning. Often we think that breakthroughs are achieved by effort, planning, or even persistence alone, but God operates differently. He does not only look at what you can do, He looks at what you are willing to release, what you are ready to surrender, and how aligned your heart is with His purposes. Surrender is not merely yielding to instruction. It is a deliberate, conscious decision to trust a higher wisdom, to place the unseen over the seen, and to accept that God's methods and timing may differ from your expectations. These 3 days are an invitation to this kind of surrender, a divine call to stop leaning on your understanding and start leaning fully on God's guidance. The heart must be aligned because the breakthrough awaiting you is not simply material or circumstantial. It is deeply spiritual and requires that your inner life be prepared to receive, sustain, and steward it. Alignment of the heart begins with clarity. God desires that your motives, desires, and actions resonate with His plans. If there is dissonance, if there is holding on to fear, doubt, or unresolved issues, the breakthrough cannot fully penetrate your life. These 3 days are a spiritual calibration, a time when the Spirit is seeking to tune your heart to the frequency of heaven. When your heart is aligned, it becomes a vessel capable of holding the fullness of what God has prepared. Misalignment, however, creates resistance, blocks flow, and delays manifestation. This alignment requires introspection, honesty, and the courage to face what must be released. It demands that you examine every attachment, habit, and thought that could act as a barrier between you and what is divinely appointed. Letting go is one of the most difficult aspects of this process because human nature clings to what is familiar, even if it is holding us back. These 3 days are about identifying what must be surrendered. It may be fear of change, comfort in routine, attachment to past failures, or even relationships that subtly pull you away from your purpose. Each of these holds power not because they are inherently evil, but because they consume spiritual energy and occupy the space that should be reserved for God's plan. The act of letting go is not passive, it is active and intentional. It requires a deliberate decision to release control, relinquish old patterns, and step into uncertainty with trust that what God has prepared is greater than what you are leaving behind. Many have been hindered for years, simply because they were unwilling to release what was familiar, safe, or emotionally comfortable. These 3 days serve as a pressure point, a divine reminder that holding on can prevent receiving. Surrender, alignment, and release are interconnected. One cannot exist fully without the other. To surrender without alignment is to give up without understanding. To align without release is to prepare without clearing space. And to release without surrender is to let go but still cling to self-will. These 3 days create a spiritual environment in which all three are demanded simultaneously. The Spirit is calling for your total availability, your undivided attention, and your willingness to be molded. It is during such periods that the human spirit is stretched beyond comfort, and yet in that stretch, preparation for greater capacity occurs. The breakthrough that waits for you requires readiness of the heart, clarity of mind, and liberation from anything that would dilute the power of God's provision. The timing of 3 days is also significant. In biblical patterns, 3 represents divine completeness and preparation. Just as there was a 3-day period before resurrection, transformation, and revelation, these 3 days are a concentrated period of preparation. It is short enough to demand urgency, but long enough to allow reflection, decision, and release. The spiritual atmosphere during these days is heightened. Angels are dispatched, instructions are clarified, and the unseen realm is active, waiting for your cooperation. Ignoring the preparation or failing to surrender will not stop the momentum, but it will prevent you from entering fully into the fullness of what has been prepared. The breakthrough requires both divine timing and human participation. During this period, it is crucial to examine internal obstacles. Pride, self-reliance, anger, resentment, and fear are all forms of resistance. Even small pockets of resistance can slow the flow of blessings and delay manifestation. Letting go means facing these internal blocks honestly and choosing to place God above them. It is not a one-time decision, but a process, often requiring repeated affirmation and intentional focus. Prayer, meditation, fasting, and quiet reflection are tools to facilitate surrender and alignment, allowing the heart to become sensitive to divine instruction. In these 3 days, the environment around you may also shift. Distractions may increase, tests may appear, and the pressure of the world may intensify. These are not coincidences, they are opportunities to exercise your commitment to surrender and alignment. Each challenge is a call to release more, trust more, and focus more. The breakthrough cannot coexist with divided attention. To let go fully is to create the necessary space for God to work without resistance, to fill your life with what has been prepared, and to initiate the transformation that cannot be achieved by human effort alone. The essence of these 3 days is a spiritual recalibration, a sacred time to realign your heart, release all attachments, and step fully into the readiness required for divine intervention. Surrendering, aligning, and letting go are not passive concepts, but active spiritual disciplines that prepare the chosen one to move from preparation to manifestation, from limitation to abundance, and from waiting to acceleration. Obedience and courage within this window will unlock your next level of purpose and blessing. These 3 days are a spiritual test, not of your knowledge or strength, but of your willingness to act faithfully and boldly in the face of urgency. God does not simply reward intention, He rewards action that aligns with His will. And in these sacred 3 days, every decision, every step, and every moment of obedience carries extraordinary weight. Obedience is the key that opens doors that human effort cannot force. It is not about doing more work or striving harder. It is about moving in harmony with the divine rhythm already established over your life. The enemy knows this and will seek to plant hesitation, doubt, and fear to keep you from responding immediately. Obedience in this window is not negotiable. It is the channel through which blessings flow and destiny unfolds. The courageous heart is required because stepping into divine instruction often requires leaving familiar ground, facing uncertainty, and trusting in what cannot yet be seen. Courage is the companion of obedience. Without courage, obedience becomes timid, partial, and ineffective. Without obedience, courage remains idle and unproductive. Together, they form the force that propels you into the next level of your purpose. The act of obedience is more than merely following instructions. It is a surrender of personal will to the higher will of God. Many chosen ones fail not because they are incapable, but because they hesitate to act when action is required. This hesitation is often dressed up as caution, careful planning, or waiting for perfect timing. The 3-day window is specifically designed to compress the timing, to force clarity, and to demand decisive movement. Delay or inaction within this window reduces the potential impact of what could have been released into your life. Every moment of compliance amplifies favor, accelerates guidance, and creates openings that were previously inaccessible. Obedience brings alignment, and alignment brings acceleration. The blessings and purpose awaiting you are not abstract. They are real, practical, and transformative, but they are contingent upon your willingness to obey fully and immediately. The enemy knows this, which is why he deploys distractions, fears, and false comforts to delay action. Recognizing these tactics is essential because it allows you to act decisively and maintain your momentum toward divine fulfillment. Courage is the companion of obedience because following God's instructions often requires facing the unknown. It may demand that you step away from familiar routines, leave environments that feel safe, or confront relationships that no longer serve your growth. Courage is required to silence the inner voice of doubt, to stand firm when others may question your choices, and to move forward when the natural senses warn of risk. These 3 days magnify both the requirement and the reward. The breakthrough that awaits is substantial, and the level of courage exercised directly correlates to the degree of access granted to the next level of purpose. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is moving forward despite fear, trusting that God has already gone before you and that the outcome is already ordained. Obedience also strengthens spiritual sensitivity. When you act immediately upon divine prompting, your spirit is attuned to recognize further instructions and opportunities. Delayed obedience clouds perception, while courageous and prompt obedience sharpens spiritual awareness. The 3-day window is an intense period in which your responsiveness is magnified. Each act of obedience is a signal to heaven that you are ready for the next step, and each moment of courage builds capacity for greater assignments. The enemy's goal is to obscure this clarity, to make obedience seem optional and courage unnecessary. But in reality, both are essential to unlock the future prepared for you. The concept of unlocking your next level is critical. Every divine breakthrough comes in stages, and the door to the next level will not open without the key of obedience paired with courage. The 3-day window represents a threshold, a moment in which what lies ahead can only be accessed through immediate action. The magnitude of what God is ready to release cannot coexist with hesitation. If you delay, the breakthrough may be postponed, diminished, or even diverted. The level of purpose awaiting you is proportional to the boldness and fidelity with which you respond now. Heaven measures readiness through actions, and the window emphasizes the urgency of alignment between your choices and divine instruction. Obedience within these 3 days requires total focus and prioritization. You must evaluate every thought, activity, and influence to determine if it contributes to your alignment or detracts from it. Anything that distracts, diminishes, or divides your attention is an obstacle to your next level. Courage is exercised in the choice to prioritize the unseen over the visible, the eternal over the temporary, and the divine over personal comfort. This is why many chosen ones falter. They value ease, familiarity, and safety more than the demands of a sacred assignment. True obedience and courage are demonstrated by stepping into the uncomfortable, trusting the unseen, and moving decisively when every natural sense urges caution. The relationship between obedience, courage, and breakthrough is inseparable. Obedience without courage is hesitant. Courage without obedience is reckless. Together, they create the spiritual momentum necessary to unlock the next level of why. Our calling. The 3-day window is a concentrated period of testing and activation designed to reveal readiness, refine character, and prepare the heart to receive the fullness of what God has prepared. Those who respond with immediate obedience and steadfast courage will find themselves elevated, accelerated, and aligned with their purpose in ways that will be obvious even to the natural eye. This is a moment where destiny is not theoretical. It is tangible, waiting to be activated by the deliberate choices made within these sacred 3 days. Divine timing waits for no one. Your decisions now will echo far into your future. Time in the spiritual realm is not like human time. it is measured by alignment, obedience, and readiness. Every moment carries weight beyond what the natural eye can see, and the choices made in critical windows can determine the trajectory of a life for years, even decades to come. The 3-day period given to the chosen ones is not arbitrary, it is a sacred alignment, a precise moment orchestrated by God to move heaven and earth on behalf of those who respond faithfully. Delays, hesitations, or distractions within this period are not just minor setbacks. They have the potential to redirect destiny, slow acceleration, and limit access to blessings that were prepared specifically for this window. Divine timing is exact, and the power of your response is magnified within these crucial hours. Heaven waits with patience, but it does not wait indefinite. Lie. Windows open and close according to purpose, not convenience, and your decisions within this sacred period are the key that either releases or delays the fulfillment of what has been destined for you. Every decision made within this 3-day window is like a seed planted in fertile soil. If you sow faith, obedience, and alignment, the harvest will be abundant and life-altering. If you sow hesitation, doubt, or distraction, the opportunity may be lost or diminished. The impact of each choice is not confined to the present, it echoes into the future, influencing circumstances, relationships, and opportunities that have yet to manifest. Those who understand the urgency recognize that divine timing is not a suggestion, it is an imperative. Acting in alignment with God's timetable requires spiritual awareness, clarity of purpose, and courage to step into the unknown. Many fail not because they lack ability, but because they underestimate the importance of timely action. Time waits for no one, and in these 3 days, every second carries eternal significance. Divine timing also exposes the heart. It reveals whether priorities are aligned with destiny or whether distractions and worldly attachments hold more influence. When the chosen one faces a critical moment like this, it becomes clear what is truly valued. Will you respond to the divine summons with urgency and faith, or will you allow comfort, fear, and doubt to slow you down? Your decisions now are a reflection of the depth of your trust and the strength of your commitment to God's plan. Timing is not merely about opportunity, it is a test of readiness and character. Those who act decisively and in alignment demonstrate that they are prepared to receive the fullness of what heaven has orchestrated. Those who hesitate may find that the moment has passed, and though the blessings themselves are not gone, the access to them may be delayed until another window opens. There is also a principle of acceleration tied to divine timing. When you respond immediately to God's instructions, the spiritual realm aligns to support your movement. Angels are dispatched, doors are opened, and favor is released, creating momentum that propels you forward. This is why responsiveness is critical. The timing of your action determines the magnitude of your breakthrough. Delay reduces momentum, resistance increases, and opportunities may appear blocked because your readiness has not matched the divine orchestration. Divine timing rewards responsiveness. The 3-day window is both a test and a catalyst, designed to elevate those who recognize its significance and act without hesitation. It is a spiritual pressure point, concentrating the forces of blessing, opportunity, and destiny into a compressed period. And your decisions during this time carry amplified consequences. Your decisions also influence the manifestation of purpose. Each choice made in alignment with God's timing clears obstacles, strengthens spiritual insight, and positions you to move seamlessly into the next phase of your life. Conversely, indecision introduces confusion, delays progress, and can lead to missed opportunities. Divine timing does not merely observe, it interacts with human choices. When heaven sets a window, it expects human cooperation to activate what has already been prepared. The 3-day period is not a random measure, it is a convergence point where heaven and earth meet, and where the responsiveness of the chosen one determines the outcome. Your decisions are like switches that either turn on or off the flow of destiny. The principle of accountability is embedded in divine timing. You are being measured not by what you know, but by how faithfully and courageously you act within the moment that has been given. Each decision carries eternal weight. Choices made with obedience, trust, and faith amplify blessing. Choices made with hesitation, fear, or distraction diminish it. Your decisions now do not just impact the next few days, they echo into your future, shaping the assignee. NTS, breakthroughs, and spiritual growth that will define your life. Timing waits for no one, and those who understand this align their hearts, focus their minds, and move decisively to participate in what God is orchestrating. Responsiveness also generates revelation. The quicker you act within divine timing, the clearer the next steps become. Hesitation obscures vision, while decisive action illuminates the path ahead. The 3-day window is a concentrated opportunity for both action and clarity. As you make the right decisions, your understanding expands, your confidence grows, and the path to your destiny becomes increasingly visible. This is why divine timing is both merciful and urgent. It offers opportunity, but requires attentiveness, faith, and immediate action. Those who recognize the significance of the moment position themselves to receive breakthroughs, guidance, and favor that extend far beyond these 3 days. Your decisions now are the pivot point of your future. Divine timing is precise, windows are finite, and the spiritual consequences of inaction are real. Every choice made within this sacred period echoes into what is coming, shaping destiny, accelerating purpose, and determining access to blessing. This is why the urgency cannot be ignored, why responsiveness matters more than comfort, and why every moment is pregnant with opportunity, ready to release its full potential to those who act faithfully, courageously, and in alignment with the timing God has established. For more than 3 days, heaven has been calling, and now it is calling through this message to you, the chosen one. What has been shared today is not just words. It is a divine summons, a spiritual wake-up call, a reminder that your destiny is urgent and your response matters. The 3-day window is real, and your obedience, courage, and alignment will determine whether you step into the fullness of what God has prepared or remain on the edge of a breakthrough yet to be realized. Remember, delay and distraction are the enemy's tools, but your responsiveness is the key to unlocking blessings, purpose, and divine acceleration. Every decision you make in these moments echoes far beyond the present, shaping your future, opening doors, and positioning you for the assignments that heaven has already ordained. As you move forward, carry this awareness into your daily life. Let your heart be surrendered, your mind focused, and your spirit sensitive to the divine prompting that is constantly seeking your attention. Do not wait for the perfect conditions, do not delay for comfort, and do not allow fear to paralyze you. Step boldly, act decisively, and trust that what has been prepared for you is far greater than what you leave behind. The next 3 days are a sacred opportunity, and your choices will be the lever that releases the next level of your life. For more spirit-filled messages that guide, awaken, and empower, stay connected to this channel. Every message is crafted to equip you for your purpose, sharpen your discernment, and ignite the faith that moves mountains. Don't miss what's coming next. Your breakthrough, your assignment, and your destiny are already waiting for your response. Thank you for taking the time to receive this word. May your heart remain aligned, your steps courageous, and your spirit ready to embrace all that God has prepared. Good luck as you act in obedience and faith, and remember, the window is open. Walk through it with confidence and expect your life to shift in ways beyond what you can imagine.